Hey everybody, I am Chuck Rogers, licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I'm a network engineer, which doesn't sound near as exciting as what Chuck's was.
Believe me, it's needed. I need them all the time. And together we are Tabletop Coffee, where we talk about how to do life, do it well.
And be bold and never ever bitter.
Try not to be bitter.
Yeah, don't be bitter.
And today we are going to talk about, what topic did we decide?
Oh my goodness, we are going to look at how to know when you're depressed or sad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you were going to go through the different ways that in a counseling session you determine how to see if someone's depressed or sad.
And we decided that we're going to do this video in 5 minutes.
I don't know that that's possible.
Yeah, I think we can do it because I complain all the time about how long people's books are.
Yeah,
And I
know.
complain about how long YouTube videos are.
I know.
And I think we've been going long.
But a lot of people like it that way. How do they get to know us otherwise?
I don't know. It bothers me.
If they're going to sit down at a cup of coffee with us, 5 minutes is not
See,
enough.
we're already
But
doing
we're
it.
going to do it right now. Here we go. We are starting the timer. 5 minutes. Let's see if we can get it done. Right here. Watch it as it goes.
Stay tuned, everyone. So let's talk about this whole thing about how do I know if I'm sad or depressed.
Okay.
People come into our office with various topics in mind. The big topics are depression, anxiety, a relational issue, an addiction, or sometimes people just want to move forward faster.
Sure.
But typically it's one of those 4 or 5 things.
Okay.
So let's address the issue about depression. So when somebody comes into my office, I start assessing right away to help determine whether or not they are indeed depressed. And one of the things I'll ask about to begin with is I'll say, how's your mood?
Right.
And then people will typically say, well, what do you mean by that? And then I'll say, well, mood can be described as up or down, sad, depressed, angry, irritable, hostile, anxious. Do any of those words fit you?
Okay.
And sometimes they'll say, yeah, this one, or sometimes they'll say this one and this one, or sometimes they'll say all of them.
Okay.
So that's the first part is mood.
Kind of reminds me of the doctor's office where you go in and you have the sad face or the happy face, and there's a 1 through 10. And they're asking you,
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain level or how are you feeling?
That's actually a good way. And sometimes people will say, oh, it's been an okay week. I'm about a 6, or I'm a 7, or I'm an 8.
Oh, yeah.
So it actually works very well.
The numbers do work
Yeah.
well.
So there's the first one.
Okay.
Next thing I'll ask about is how is your sleep? How is your sleep going for you?
Right. So how does that affect things?
Sleep is incredibly important. It's how our body and our brain clean itself and get refreshed. So I'll ask about 3 different parts of sleep: initial, middle, and terminal. Initial is how long does it take you to fall asleep? And I'll ask it this way: how many minutes or hours does it take you to fall asleep?
Wow. Okay.
And if it's less than 30 minutes, sleep experts would kind of say, yeah, you're probably falling asleep too quickly. I like to fall asleep right away.
Really? 30 minutes?
Yeah, if it's under 30 minutes, it's okay. If it starts
Okay.
to get over 30 minutes, then it's kind of problematic. But it should take you a few minutes to fall asleep.
Okay.
And then the next part is once you get to sleep, how productive is your sleep? Are you able to stay asleep? And if you wake up, maybe to use the bathroom or you just wake up, are you able to get back to sleep? And hopefully you can get back to sleep rather quickly.
Okay.
And the third part is terminal insomnia, which says I'm waking up way too soon and I can't get back to sleep.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me the other night, by the way. Not having a sleep disorder or anything
Right.
like that, but I was in bed, and then all of a sudden, I'm pretty sure I heard somebody outside say, "Yeah!"
Oh, really? Somebody yelled?
And it was at like 2 a.m. And I look out the window and I can't see anybody. And you're doing this squinty thing anyway.
And now your whole body has just been flushed with a bunch of chemicals.
Right. And so I'm
Can't go
done.
back to sleep,
No, I can't
yeah.
go back to sleep for a couple
So that's
of
number
hours.
2.
Okay.
How are we doing on time?
Oh, we're doing great. Just keep on going. We're doing wonderful.
And then you ask, how is your energy? Are you having enough energy to be able to get through the day? And usually people will say it's kind of low or it's kind of in the middle, or no, my energy is good.
Right.
Then I'll ask about concentration and say, are you able to focus, when you need to?
Sure.
We'll ask about memory. Are you having any issues with recall? Or are you able to recall things when you need to, maybe for work or something that's important? Or are people complaining that you're forgetting things?
Right. That makes sense.
And then we'll ask about appetite. First of all, appetite for food.
Right.
Do you have a healthy appetite for food?
Right.
And we'll usually ask if, have you gained any weight? Have you lost any weight? But are you having a healthy appetite? We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Next is appetite for sex. Do you have a normal desire for sex? And all the other part of this too is that just because you have one or two of these things doesn't mean you're depressed.
Okay.
It's just if you have probably, we're going to list about 8 or 9 things here. And if you start having 4 or 5 of them, then you probably need to see a professional and get a real assessment done. Because this is not an assessment. This is just information for educational purposes.
So what I was thinking about through that whole process was the Katie Morton video where she's going through and talking about what does my therapist think about me when I'm in a session, or whatever her video was, because I watched part of that.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, oh, I'm going through these steps and now I'm not sleeping well, and I didn't eat well this day. And so they're already thinking I'm a depressed person just because I said yes to these 2 things.
No, not 2 things. If just because you have a couple of pieces to the puzzle does not mean it's a picture.
Okay.
But if you start getting several of the pieces to the puzzle and it starts to make a picture, then you need to look at the picture.
Okay. So after appetite for sex, what's next after that?
Probably motivation. Am I able to accomplish tasks that I want to and need to be able to accomplish? And not only tasks for like work, but tasks for things that I once enjoyed. Am I continuing to enjoy the things that I once enjoyed? And if you don't, it's a big word called Anhedonia.
Oh.
Yeah, just a name for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that word.
Because a lot of times when people are depressed, they don't care about a whole lot of things anymore.
Because is it because you're thinking about so many things that are going wrong in your life that you can't think outside of that?
You just don't care anymore.
Just don't care.
It just doesn't matter. You know, if you like to play guitar in the past, you probably don't like to play guitar. If you used to do an activity like go to church, you may not go to church anymore. If you used to meet at Starbucks with a friend, you don't care about relationships anymore. You just don't care about things that were once important to you. Next part is also, is there kind of a rumination or a continuing to think about my worthlessness or hopelessness or excessive guilt? And then the last thing would be, I would ask people, are you having any thoughts about hurting yourself? And if you're starting to have thoughts about hurting yourself or obsessive thoughts about death, then that would tell us that there probably is some depression going on. But you need to have probably 4 to 5 of these things. And if you are experiencing 4 or 5 of them, go see a professional and get a professional assessment done.
And that's great. I had no idea that there were so many things that you looked at when somebody came in. And this is one of the first things you go through, just to make sure that they're in a stable place to be able to move forward through the rest of the counseling session.
Yeah.
So what happens when somebody is at that place and they do have 4 or 5 or more of those and they are in this state? Is that what you focus on at that point?
Well, we use those as kind of a barometer, and you can continue to check on those.
Okay.
Maybe even each week as they come in to
Right.
see if those symptoms are lessening. And that will kind of be a barometer to help us know if we're on the right track and getting better.
For anyone who's never been to see a counselor or a therapist before, you know, it can be frightening to go in and not know what to expect when you walk in. And, you know, that leads me to something that I was thinking about. It might be nice to do a series on what to expect when you go to a counseling session.
It would be great. We could do that.
I think we should look at doing that.
All right. Let's put it on the list.
Okay, we'll add it. It's number 78. We're getting there. Although a lot of things on the list we don't go in order anyway.
Yeah.
So it could be anywhere.
We got to quit. We're probably getting close to that timer.
It could be number 3. Oh yeah. I bet we're way over that timer. We missed it, but that's okay.
So we'll have to see.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Tabletop Coffee. We hope that you've enjoyed this content and getting an understanding of how to know when you are depressed or sad, and what it's like if you actually go into a counseling session and the different things that they're looking for to understand that.
Yeah.
And like I said, it kind of reminds me of the doctor's office where
kind of
they're,
that way.
you know, a 1 to 10 scale on are you hurting really bad? So it's kind of that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe and click that bell to be notified of upcoming episodes
And like it.
and like it. Until next time.
Thanks a lot, everyone.